Hi, it's Lyle from Made by Marley, and today I'm going to introduce you to the new IOD inlay called Lattice Rose. And so it's 2 sheets of each, and there's 4 different designs. So we have the kind of stripe, the yellow with the rose in it, this reminds me very much of a Laura Ashley sort of design, and a pattern. And here it is in context on the back. So just very quickly, I had a 70s bedside cabinet, handmade, quite boxy, and I thought, how can I add some interest? So what I've done so far is I've painted it twice with pink, undercoat, an undercoat and a top coat, and I have applied the frames molds to the front to make a sort of gallery. New handles are going to go here and here. So that's what has happened so far, and I undercoated this in white. So I'm going to get on, and the inlay I'm actually going to use, I'm not going to do them all different. I'm just going to actually do all the same. So I'm just going to pick, because I think you can tell this is going to be my favourite. This is the one that I'm going to use, and I'm going to fit it into all of the apertures. Now, if you've never used an inlay before and you want to have a continuous pattern, there's a little border runs all around the inlays which you need to remove. I'm just going to remove mine just because it's good practice, but it's not like it's going to be joining up against everything. The inlays can be embedded with paint, chalk paint, or they can be embedded with you're doing glass, you can use dishwasher Mod Podge. I've got a video on that. If you're doing put them on with a top coat sealer, I've got videos on that. So you can do your whole distress and then apply them. You don't have to be limited to embed them straight into paint. So they're quite versatile. So, and they feel like paint. If you're doing a hand painted piece with lots of texture, especially with chalk paint style paints, when you apply an inlay, it feels like it's been a painted surface. So it's got different benefits to transfers and all the other malarkey. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to, because these have been on here and they're hard, I wouldn't suggest you do these if your molds are still soft. I would let your molds harden. And literally all I'm going to do is, it's got the handy dandy squares in the background, so you can just understand where you're cutting. Going to set that to the side a minute. I'm just going to take that bit off because I don't need it. And so this one is going to go into here. So how would you do it? And it's the same way if you were doing a large piece of furniture. You need to have a brush that fits in your apertures, and you need it thick enough that it doesn't smudge your inlay. I don't mind if it gets a bit on my frame because I'm going to come back and these frames are going to be painted anyway. So let's just make sure that we do the job right. So a nice smooth coat, and it works. You put an undercoat first of a colour, so that's why I've done the white underneath. Smooth it out, apply your little part of your inlay, make sure that it is touching and embedded into the paint, because the frames are slightly concave, which means concave, Martin, is that right? Yeah, they're slightly
convex.
I knew you would know the answer to that. Right, so once you've embedded it into your paint,
I had to really delve deep into the memory banks there.
Then you just spray it with some water and just literally leave it alone until it's dry, and then you remove it with water, and we'll get to that stage. I'll do one more and then I'll go away and I'll put my inlays. I'll do this one here because it's a little bit bigger, and I want quite a big part of the rose section in here. So let's just do something like, and I'm just literally running my nail round the edge of where my mold is, just so I can get these straight. But this process is exactly the same if you were just doing a large piece of furniture. You just cut it out to the size you need, and then you just embed it into the paint. It's not... There we go. Let's just check it for size. Dry fit it. Perfect. I think this little part up here could do with a little bit of a trim. And again, with your paint, not too thick, not too thin. Make sure that it's smooth and not too lumpy, because that can give you wrinkles on your inlay. And then just do the same thing as we did above. I think I'm going to go this way. Sit it down, embed it down nice into your paint. Make sure it's touching the surfaces and there's no obvious wrinkles. Smooth those all out. I have a soft cloth here. If you think there are any wrinkles, you can smooth them. And if you're doing a flat surface, you can use a brayer if that's your want. I'm going for kind of vintagey look, so I'm okay with what I'm doing. Wet it and make sure that it's all flat and applied. I'm going to do all my little apertures. And once I've done that, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do the paint colour round. I've taped off here because I'm going to be doing, because I've looked at my inlay and I like these sort of greeny, sort of dark blues here. So I'm going to do these two behind these, and then we'll come back and I'm thinking I'm going to do the frames a sort of rusty with kind of running down. So I'll do all my little frames first and we'll come back and do the next part in a minute. So now with this dark blue green, I am going to blend around. Now, I'm not using obviously a traditional blending brush because I don't have enough room, and I'm just moving from dark to light to get something, because I've got a sort of cream and a green, and I'm just kind of like mixing them because these are the sort of colours that I want to set maybe a wee bit dark around the edges and a little bit light around it. So I'm going to get on and I'm going to blend around my moulds, leaving my moulds because I'm not painting those just now while the inlays are drying. And I'll go and get that done. So I painted the blue and the black background, and now with a simple paint effect, I am just making my frames look rusty. I'll just finish that one off in a minute. I'm just using orange and brown and alternating it, and using a little bit of water so that I can get some kind of like rusty sort of texture and drips underneath. Especially remember, rust builds up around the edges, so something like this. Anyway, all of that has happened while my inlays have been drying. Now, because I've got all these paint effects on here, I'm going to tip it back up, and I'm going to just get some water on a cloth. These ones up here are dry, but I don't want it dribbling all over everything either. So just making sure that it's not too saturated. Dry that off a wee bit. And then you just peel off your inlay like that. Now, I knew I was going to have to come back round and do the edges because I want some rusty build up around those edges as well, but I'll just show you that again. And this is the same whether you're doing a large piece of furniture or a small piece of furniture. You just re-wet them to peel them off, and you just very gently peel off your inlays like that. And what I'll be doing now is I'll just be going back into these edges here and just doing a little bit of a rusty finish to finish where the white is, the undercoat white. And I'm just going to go ahead and do the rest of them until we move on to the next part. Okay, so I've finished all of this and I've finished this. What I did was I got half of the flowers and I just researched it only kind of half in with the peach colour that I put behind here. Not the pink, the peach, because that way, I mean, you're not going to see that far back, and plus they're probably going to have things in here, and I think it's just a little accent that I've done there. On the top, I've painted it the blue, this blue colour with no mix in it, the darker shade, and I've just put the orange pattern on top just to give it a little bit more interest. I'm waiting for these to dry because once they're dry, we'll peel off the inlays. Now, when inlays are live paint on them, they're live chalk paint, which means that if I was to come along here and spray water onto this now, it's paint, it would react and it would become live again and it would start to run. So what I tend to do with my inlays are, before I seal them, is I take my piece outside and I just use a clear furniture spray to spray them so that they don't run when I seal my piece. So I spray my, just with a matte sealer, I spray my inlays, let them dry, and then I bring it and I seal it as normal. After that, I had some white handles, which I've kind of put some peachy pink paint on and sort of distressed them. And I'm going to get Martin to put these here and down here. Okay. Okay, so I pulled the inlay. I didn't show it on camera. You saw me doing the squares. I just pulled the inlay off there. I'm now giving it a really good sand. Martin's got my handles on it. I've put the spray sealer on it. And I just want to show you the top. Happy little accents, which I absolutely love. It's pulled some down under the pink as well. So I've got the pink, the blue, and it's given it this really fabulous look. So I'm absolutely loving that. I wish I could recreate that many times over. Anyway, and what I'm doing now is I don't normally really kind of overly sort of shabby up my pieces as maybe as much as this, but I'm just giving it a really good sand. I'm trying to bring back some of the white in the drawer and some of the brown, obviously, so I'm having to go a little bit harder with the sandpaper. So I'm just kind of distressing it off to give it that whole sort of kind of like aged feel. It's been around for a while. Somebody's done lots of different things to it. Somebody else has maybe added that part to it just to give it a little bit of character. So I shall get on to this and I'll use some nice stage photos. Okay, so here we are in the stable and I've staged it all out. I think this would look like a fabulous little bedside cabinet in a little girl's room. It's very cute. Very rustic, very shabby, and the inlays are fabulous and they are just a brilliant addition to this little piece, which has cheered it up no end because it was quite sad beforehand. I'm really loving the top, and now we'll get on and we'll take some really nice images of this cute little piece.